Yo, what's up, guys? It's Jaden Preza, and I'm here just to make a quick video. I was just reading in the book of Judges, and I realized something, and I wanted to share it with you all. So, right here, we're in the new generation of the Israelites, and when we read it from 1 currently to 4, we see that the new Israelites are not really intact with God as their previous ancestors were. And we see that every time they don't listen, God gets furious and he puts them in another dilemma. Well, now here's what happens. The Israelites do know of God. They know the miracles that they have done for their ancestors, but yet they still choose to go back to their old ways. That's one thing. Another thing. Here we see when they were put into order from the first time, when God turned them over or turned them up to their first king that captured them and held them in for years on end. They wasted that many years of their life with that king. We see here that they cry out to God for help, and God produces them a judge, and the judge helps them go back to their old ways. No, not their old ways. Their old ways where their ancestors were believing in God and all that stuff. And we see that. And then when the judge dies, they go back to their old selfish ways. That's one thing that now we know that they do now. We know that they do believe in the miracle of God because they've seen it before. Now we go into this, and through chapter 4, it's been a repetitive thing going on. God keeps turning them over to the kings. Then they cry out to God for help. God helps them through a judge. The judge dies, and they go back to their old ways. So they know the miracle of God and what God can do, but yet they still choose to go back to their old selfish ways. That's one thing. We have to stop being hot and cold. We can only stay at one temperature. We need to stay afoot. We can't waste so many years. They've wasted 20 years, 15 years in count of the Bible. We can't do that. 20 years being captured by a king. Then God saves them. Then they go back, and God puts them out again. 15 years, another year. Then they're out again. We have to remind ourselves that we have to be straight with God. We can't waste this much time doing our own thing. We want to stay intact with God. As we can see what God has done for us so far. God's kept us through. God's kept us through coronavirus, or as to right now. God's kept us through a lot of other things, and I'm sure we all have our testimonies. Let's remember to stop being hot and cold and stay at one temperature.